My name is Auntie Marianne, and for most of my life, I've lived quietly in a small town where nothing unusual ever happens. A place where people still wave to each other from their porches, where the nights are calm, and where time seems to move a little slower. Maybe that's why, for years, I convinced myself that the strange things happening in my home were nothing more than my imagination, or grief playing cruel tricks on me. Because 12 years ago, I lost my son. His name was Evan, a bright-eyed little boy who loved dinosaurs, mud puddles, and waking me up before sunrise just so he could watch cartoons with me. He was only 7 when a sudden illness took him away. One moment he was laughing, the next he was gone. I never recovered. I never could recover. But nothing, truly nothing, prepared me for what began happening last winter. The first night, 3 a.m. It was early December. Cold. Silent. The kind of night where even the wind feels frozen. I remember waking up suddenly, as if someone had shaken me. My room was dark, the house still, but something felt wrong. Then it happened. Ding dong. My front doorbell rang. I blinked at the clock on my nightstand. 3 a.m. I sat up, confused and unnerved. Nobody in my life would show up at that hour. No neighbors. No friends. No deliveries. Nothing. I tried to ignore it, told myself it was a wiring problem. But then the bell rang again. Ding dong. Longer. Heavier. Almost urgent. My heart began racing as I got out of bed and walked toward the hallway. The house felt colder than usual, unnaturally cold. A chill brushed the back of my neck. I reached the door and peered through the peephole. No one. Just darkness. Empty road. Silent night. My breath fogged the glass of the peephole. A strange shiver ran through me. I slowly opened the door a crack. Nothing. Just cold winter air. But my porch light flickered, something it had never done before. And then I saw it. On the welcome mat. On the frosted wood surface. A tiny footprint, small. Bare. The size of a child's. I stared at it for a long time, unable to breathe. It looked exactly like Evan's footprint, the same curve of the toes, the same arch, like the little prints he used to leave after running through the sprinkler in summer. But that was impossible. He's gone. He's been gone for 12 years. I shut the door, locked it, and stayed awake until sunrise. Night 2. The wet footprints. The next night, I went to bed early, telling myself nothing weird had happened. It had to be a trick of the cold. Frost shapes. Imagination. Grief. But when the clock hit 3 a.m., the doorbell rang again. Ding dong. My blood ran cold. I didn't get up this time. I couldn't. But then I heard something worse. Much worse. Soft footsteps. Wet footsteps. Inside my house. Slow, squishy, like small feet, stepping on hardwood floors after walking through mud or water. My heartbeat echoed in my ears. The footsteps walked across the living room, toward the hallway, toward my bedroom door. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. I just sat there, paralyzed, listening. Then, tap, tap, tap. 3 gentle knocks on my bedroom door. A child's knock. I gasped and covered my mouth, tears streaming down my cheeks. For a moment, for a single insane moment, I wanted to open the door. Because those 3 soft knocks, they sounded exactly like the way Evan used to knock whenever he had a nightmare. But I didn't move. Couldn't. Minutes passed. Silence returned. And when I finally gathered the courage to open my door at dawn, there they were, wet, muddy footprints leading from the front door, across the living room, down the hallway, straight to my bedroom. I dropped to my knees, shaking. I touched one of the prints. The mud was real. The water was real. The footprints were real. Night 3. The laugh. By the 3rd night, I was terrified to sleep. So I sat on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, trying to watch TV but unable to focus. My eyes kept flicking to the clock. 2:57 a.m., 2:58, 2:59, and then 3 a.m. The doorbell rang. Just once. I squeezed my eyes shut, tears building. And immediately afterward, I heard something I had not heard in 12 years. A laugh, a child's laugh. Light, playful, familiar. It came from outside, right by my door, right under my porch light, and it was Evan's laugh. I froze completely. My breath caught in my throat. Then something scraped softly against my front door, like small fingers brushing the wood, like someone drawing circles on it. My knees buckled, and I almost collapsed to the floor. I whispered, voice trembling. Evan? The laughs stopped instantly. The entire house went silent. And then, in that silence, in the cold darkness of my hallway, I heard breathing, on the other side of the door, slow, calm, childlike. I pressed my hand against my heart, trying not to scream. The breathing stayed there for nearly a full minute. And then, 2 gentle knocks, not on my bedroom door this time, but on the front door. Knocks that seemed to say, "Mom, open up." Morning after, the neighborhood rumors. By morning, I hadn't slept at all. I left the house to get some air, and as I walked down the street, my neighbor, Mrs. Carter, waved me over. She was in her early 70s, always polite, always cheerful. But today, she looked pale. She asked, "Marianne, have you been hearing things at night?" My heart dropped. "What do you mean?" I forced out. She hesitated, then whispered, "Someone keeps walking in front of your house around 3 in the morning. Small footprints, like a child." She shuddered. I thought it was a dream, until I saw it again last night. I felt dizzy, and, she added slowly, "I swear, I heard a child laughing. But there are no children on our street." I couldn't respond. I just walked home, barely able to breathe. I wasn't imagining it. I wasn't losing my mind. Someone, was coming back. And it had something to do with 3 a.m. Something Evan used to say when he was alive. Something I had forgotten. A warning he whispered a week before he died. "Mom, don't open the door at 3 a.m. At the time, I thought he'd had a nightmare. But now I wasn't sure. The message in the mud. I didn't leave my house all day. Every window stayed locked, every curtain closed. I walked room to room with a trembling hand pressed against my chest, trying to understand what was happening. By nightfall, I sat in my living room clutching a mug of tea I didn't drink. I told myself one thing over and over. I will not open that door at 3 a.m. Not tonight. Not ever. But as the hours crept by, dread settled into my bones like a slow-moving poison. Something was coming. 2:50 a.m., the silence before. The house was too quiet. The kind of quiet where you can hear your own heartbeat. I stared at the clock. 2:51. 2:52. My palms were sweating. I didn't blink. 2:59. I held my breath. And then, 3 a.m. But this time, the doorbell didn't ring. The scratching. Instead, I heard a new sound. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Soft scratching. Not at the front door, but on the walls. Like little fingers dragging down the paint. I froze, my eyes darting around the room. The scratching moved. Along the hallway, up the wall by the kitchen, under the living room window. As if something small was crawling around the outside of the house, trying to find a way in. My heart pounded so hard it hurt. Then, the scratching stopped. Right behind the front door. A full, suffocating silence followed. Seconds passed. A minute. 2. I stared at the door, waiting for the bell, the knocks, the laughter. Nothing. And then I saw something that made every cell in my body seize up. A shadow under the door. Very small, motionless, standing right behind it. Just standing there, waiting. The first whisper. I covered my mouth, tears streaming down my cheeks. The shadow didn't move. And then, through the wood, through the silence, came a whisper. A faint, broken, childlike whisper. "Mom, let me in." My blood ran cold. It was the same voice that used to wake me up on school mornings. The same voice that said goodnight every day for 7 years. But there was something wrong with it now. A slight echo. A hollow tone. Like it wasn't coming from a throat, but from somewhere deeper. I shook my head, whispering to myself, "This isn't real. You're dreaming. He's gone. He's gone." But the whisper came again. Stronger. "Mom, open the door, please." I stood up, trembling violently. Every motherly instinct in me screamed to reach for the handle. But something else. A cold, instinctive fear pulled me back. Because no matter how much that voice sounded like my son, the shadow under the door didn't look right. It wasn't shaped like a boy. It was too flat, too still, too wrong. And then, the whisper turned into a giggle. Not Evan's laugh. Not anymore. Something else. Something pretending to be him. The warning on the floor. I stumbled backward, covering my ears. The giggle stopped abruptly. Silence again. Then, tap, tap, tap. 3 gentle knocks. I sobbed. The knocks grew slightly louder. Then, they stopped. A moment later, I heard soft footsteps walking away from the door, down the porch steps, onto the front yard. I didn't move. Not until dawn. When the first sunlight touched the windows, I ran to the door and opened it. The porch was empty. The street silent, but something new was on the ground. More footprints. This time not just one. Dozens. Small, muddy, unmistakably child-sized footprints leading in circles around my house. As if something had been walking around it all night. Some prints were darker, deeper, as if whoever, or whatever, made them was getting heavier. My stomach twisted as I followed the trail with my eyes. They stopped at one place, right below my bedroom window. That's when I saw it. Something written in the mud. Words smeared by a small hand. Don't open the door. I felt my breath vanish. Those words. I knew them. Evan said them a week before he died. Over and over. Crying. Begging. Mom, don't open the door at 3 a.m. At the time, I thought he was scared of the dark, or having nightmares. But now those same words were written in mud beneath my bedroom window. I sank to my knees, shaking uncontrollably. Was it a warning or a threat? I didn't know. All I knew was this. Something was coming for me. I wasn't imagining it. I wasn't hallucinating it. And whatever it was, it knew my son. It knew our house. It knew me. The photograph. At sunrise, desperate for answers, I went to the hallway closet where I kept our old family albums. My hands shook as I opened the book containing Evan's childhood photos. But when I flipped to the last page, my heart nearly stopped. Because there, tucked between 2 pages, was a photo I had never seen before. A photo of my front porch. Taken at night. Taken from outside. The date printed at the bottom was smudged, but I could read the time. 3 a.m. My hands trembled violently as I lifted the photo. In the picture, the porch light flickered. The wooden steps glistened like they were wet. And on the welcome mat stood a small figure. A child, barefoot, facing the door, face blurred, not by motion or the camera, but like something didn't want its face to be seen. My knees buckled. Tears blurred my vision. On the back of the photo, a message was written in childish handwriting. Mom, let me come inside. I dropped the photo and stumbled backward until I hit the wall. My vision blurred. My breaths turned into gasps, because the handwriting on that photo, it was exactly like Evan's. The neighbor, the night, and the shadow of the door. I didn't sleep the next night, or the one after that. Every creak in the house felt like a breath. Every shift of the floorboards felt like a footstep. By the 3rd day, my nerves were so shattered I couldn't drink water without spilling it on my hands. But something else had started happening too. I began hearing whispers inside the house. Not at the door. Not outside. Inside, soft. Faint, like a child humming from another room. At first, I thought it was my mind, breaking under the weight of grief and fear. But then, on the 4th night, something happened that proved it wasn't just in my head. Something no mother could ever forget. The footsteps in the hallway. It was 1:17 a.m. when I heard them. Soft. Barefoot. Small. Like a child walking slowly across the hallway toward my bedroom. I sat up in bed. Frozen. The footsteps stopped. Then, tap, tap, tap. Knocking, not on wood, on my bedroom door. For a moment, I forgot how to breathe. Then a small, trembling voice came through the door. Mom, please. I'm cold. Tears spilled from my eyes. It sounded exactly like him. Exactly like Evan. The boy I tucked into bed every night. The boy who used to come to my door whenever he had a nightmare. But he was gone. He had been gone for 8 years. And whatever was outside my bedroom door wasn't him. The door handle turns. Before I could even move, the handle began to twist. Slowly. Gently. Patiently. I jumped out of bed and shoved my shoulder against the door, screaming, No! No! Stay out! The handle froze. Silence. Then, in the softest voice I had ever heard, the thing on the other side whispered, Why did you bury me there? My blood turned to ice. What? I whispered. What did you say? But there was no reply. Just a sound. A soft dragging, like something small being pulled across the carpet. Then, silence. I slid down the door, shaking so hard my teeth chattered. I stayed there until sunrise. The visit from Mrs. Alden. Around noon, my elderly neighbor, Mrs. Alden, knocked on my door. She rarely left her house, but today her face was pale. Tight? Worried. Honey, she whispered, has someone been at your house at night? My heart hammered. Why? I asked. What did you see? Mrs. Alden swallowed hard. I don't want to scare you, but 3 nights ago, around 3 a.m., I heard someone outside your house. A child. My knees nearly gave out. She continued. I looked outside the window, and I saw a little boy standing on your porch. I felt every muscle in my body lock. What did he look like? I croaked. She shook her head. I couldn't see his face. It was blurry. Wrong. My breath caught. But that isn't the worst part, she whispered. My skin prickled. What's the worst part? I asked, barely able to speak. Mrs. Alden looked straight into my eyes. The boy wasn't standing on the steps. I blinked, confused. She took a shaky breath. He was hovering, a few inches above the ground. My heart stopped. And then, she said, voice trembling. He turned his head and looked right at me. But his face, she closed her eyes tightly, as if erasing the memory. There was no face, she whispered. Just darkness. A ringing sound filled my ears. Like static or buzzing. I whispered, "Did you see where he went?" Mrs. Alden nodded slowly. "He walked around your house and stopped by your bedroom window." My stomach twisted violently. "And then," she whispered, "he reached into the ground like it was water. And when he pulled his hand out, the mud wrote something by itself." My breath left my body completely. I didn't even realize I was crying until Mrs. Alden squeezed my hand. Then she whispered the words that sent an electric shock through my spine. It wrote, "Don't open the door." The video recording. After she left, I knew I needed proof. Something. Anything. To confirm I wasn't losing my mind. So that night, at 11 p.m., I placed my old baby monitor camera on the hallway shelf, pointed toward the front door. I sat in my room all night, waiting. Nothing happened. No footsteps. No knocking. No whispers. Nothing. By morning, I began to feel foolish. Desperate. Unhinged. At 6 a.m., with shaking fingers, I retrieved the camera and checked the recording. Most of the footage was empty, silent. But at 2:59 a.m., the video flickered, static. Then, the front door handle moved. Not much. Just a soft turn. I gasped. At 3 a.m. sharp, something small stepped into view. Bare feet, covered in mud, standing right in front of the door. I couldn't see its face. The camera wouldn't focus on it. It was like the lens refused. The little figure lifted a hand and touched the door lightly. Then it turned, facing the camera. My pulse pounded wildly as I leaned toward the screen. And then the small figure whispered, "Mom, why won't you let me in?" But the voice was wrong. Familiar, but warped. Distant, like an echo coming from underground. The figure took one more step toward the camera. And that's when I saw it. For a single frame, less than a second, the camera caught the child's face. Not blurry, not hidden, clear. Very clear. It wasn't Evan's face. It wasn't a child's face. It was a hollow, open mouth. A void where the eyes should be. And a stretched, impossible smile. Then the screen went black. The recording ended. I dropped the camera, screaming. My hands shook so violently, I could barely stand. Because now I understood something horrifying. Whatever was coming to my door wasn't pretending to be my son. No, it was using his voice, his memories, his handwriting, like a mask. Something wanted me to open that door desperately. Something that had waited years. Something that was growing weaker, or maybe stronger, with every 3 a.m. visit. The final truth, the choice, and the last knock. Autumn didn't sleep the night after finding the hidden chamber. She sat on the cold floor of the storage basement. A single weak bulb flickering overhead. The smell of dust and old paint clinging to her breath. Her daughter, Lily, slept upstairs, innocent, unaware of the truth her mother had just uncovered. A truth so heavy, it made Autumn's hands tremble. Because the files inside those old boxes, the journals, the receipts, the letters, all pointed to one horrifying conclusion. Someone had been watching them for years. And it wasn't the man across the street. It wasn't a stranger. It wasn't a stalker. It was her father. A man she buried 16 years ago. 1. The phone call that shouldn't exist. At 3:14 a.m., Autumn's phone rang. Not just from any number. From her father's old number. The same number that was deactivated when he died. Her heartbeat collapsed into her stomach. The screen glowed. Dad. Incoming call. She didn't answer at first. Her thumb hovered over the screen, shaking. The phone rang again and again, until finally, she answered. Static. A long, slow inhale. Then a voice. Impossible. Wrong. But familiar. Autumn. Don't let her open the door. Autumn froze. Her breath vanished. Her father. The same gentle, deep voice she remembered from childhood. The same tone he used when comforting her after nightmares. But he was dead. Dead. Gone. Buried. She whispered, "Dad." A glitching sound, like distortion, through broken speakers. "He's close. Don't let her open the door." Who? Who is close? Who are you talking about? More static. Then, you know who. The call ended. Autumn stared at the phone in complete silence, the cold metal burning her palms. 2. The man at the door. A sudden knock shook the entire house. Autumn jumped. Not now. Not after that call. Knock, knock, knock. Slow. Heavy. Like whoever was outside had all the time in the world. Her breath hitched because she knew that knock. She had heard it years ago, when she was a child, when her father came home angry. Lily's tiny footsteps pattered from upstairs. "Mom, someone's knocking." "No, Lily. Stay upstairs." But Lily was already halfway down the stairs. Knock. 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 Autumn grabbed her daughter's hand and gently pulled her behind her. "Stay behind me, sweetheart." "Mom, who is it?" Autumn didn't answer because she didn't know. Or maybe she did. And that was worse. She slowly approached the door. Her hand moved toward the peephole. But before she could look, a voice came from behind the wood. A man's voice, soft, low, familiar. "Autumn, open the door." Her entire body went cold. Lily's grip tightened around her sleeve. "Mom, that sounds like Grandpa." Autumn's heart stopped. She whispered, "Lily, Grandpa is gone." The voice outside continued, "I need to talk to you about the man pretending to be me." Autumn froze. Her father's journals flashed through her mind. The warnings, the drawings of someone with no face, the notes about a shadow man who mimicked voices. Her throat tightened. "Who are you?" she whispered through the door. The voice shifted, cracking, breaking, distorting. "Not human, not real." "Autumn, let me in," Lily whimpered. Autumn stepped back, pulling her daughter close. That thing outside was not her father. 3. The final recording. Autumn dragged Lily back to the basement, the one place she knew the creature couldn't enter, because this place was sealed, protected. Her father had built it himself. A safe room. Inside the boxes, Autumn found something she hadn't noticed before, a small cassette tape labeled, "For Autumn, play only when it comes back." Her father's handwriting. Her hands shook as she put the tape into the dusty recorder. A click. A soft hum. Then, her father's voice, gentle, sad, and afraid. "Autumn, if you're hearing this, then it found you too." Autumn covered her mouth, tears pooling in her eyes. "It followed me when I was a child. It took my father's voice. Then my brother's. It mimics the dead. It pretends to be the people we miss the most." Lily leaned her head against Autumn's shoulder. "It tried to become me after I died. You must not listen to it. Do not open the door. Do not believe it. Because once you do, it becomes you." Static. A final whisper. "I love you, Pumpkin. Protect Lily. It wants her now." The tape clicked off. And suddenly, boom! A loud crash shook the basement. The creature was trying to force its way into the house. 4. The final decision. Autumn turned to Lily. "Sweetheart, listen to me. We have to run now." "But Grandpa." "That's not Grandpa." The lights flickered. The walls groaned. The basement door upstairs slammed open. Thump. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Imitating human weight. Lily started crying. Autumn pulled her into her arms. Then, the creature spoke. But this time, it used Lily's voice. Perfectly. "Mommy, please let me in." Lily gasped. Autumn's blood froze. The creature banged on the safe room door. "Open the door, Mommy. I'm scared. Please." Autumn held Lily close, trembling uncontrollably, because she knew. If she opened the door, they were dead. If the creature got in, it would copy them, replace them, erase them. She squeezed her daughter's tiny hand. "Lily." Yes, Mom. If anything happens, I love you more than anything in this world." Another boom shook the door, bending the metal. The creature was almost inside. Autumn whispered, "Close your ears, baby." She grabbed the emergency handle, her father's last failsafe, a lever that would collapse the basement walls inward and trap anything inside forever. The creature shrieked outside, switching between voices. Her father, her mother, her own voice, Lily's voice, crying, begging. Autumn's tears fell. She pulled the lever. A deafening explosion of concrete and dust swallowed the room. Epilogue. 6 months later, Autumn and Lily moved to another state. New home, new number, new life. Lily is healing. Autumn is trying. But sometimes, at 3:14 a.m., their new phone rings. Once, twice. Autumn never picks up. But last night, Lily did. She came into her mother's room, pale, trembling. "Mom." Autumn sat up. "What happened?" Lily swallowed. "It was Grandpa." Autumn went cold. "What did he say?" Lily whispered. "He said the thing didn't die, and it's learning our voices again."